All right, I think we are officially live right now. So, guys, could you guys do me a quick favor? This is Brandon, by the way, with BiggerPockets webinars. And could you guys do me a favor and let me know in the chat area if you can hear me okay? This is a slightly new webinar system that I'm doing. Google Hangouts, which is kind of the back end of these webinars, changed a few things around. So I want to make sure that everything's working correctly today and then you can hear me. And if not, then we're going to have to figure something out. So, let me also, let's see. I could turn my face on, but I'm going to wait a second to see if anybody's there. Again, let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I think this thing starts. Oh, good. Julian, I can hear you. Good. All right, everyone. Chris is here. What's up, everyone? Carlene, Hema. Max said I can't. Oh, Adnan. I hear you. Can hear you. Yes. Joseph, Steve, Natan, Ian, Nancy. Steven. All right, guys. Oh, awesome. Okay, so people can hear me. That's a good thing. Welcome, everyone. My name is Brandon Turner, and I'm your host today of today's webinar. Today, we're talking about a topic that I think is probably the single most important thing that you could possibly learn when it comes to real estate, and that is math. Well, we're going to talk about math, but we're going to try to keep it fun. We're going to have a good time with this. And we're talking about how do you analyze rental properties for maximum cash flow. Now, there is a worksheet that goes with today's webinar. If you go to biggerpockets.com/329 worksheet, biggerpockets.com/329 worksheet. By the way, do you guys want to try something also? Somebody, like, if it buffers too much, I don't know if this will work or not, but if you click on the actual, like the page, like click on my slides, you can see there, it should pause me for a second. If you want to try pausing me for like a minute, let it kind of like get ahead for a minute and then play again. I mean, you'll be like a minute behind in terms of the chatting, but that might help it from loading. Yeah, somebody said there's a bit of lag there when it loads. I can't hear you. If you cannot hear, stop and start the video. Chris said if you can't hear, stop and start the video. Yeah, try that, guys. Click that button there. And again, we're going to get started here in about 1 minute. Again, like I said, this is a very important topic. Talking about how to analyze rental properties for cash flow. In other words, extra monthly income every single month. That's kind of ideal. Yeah, so here's what I'm guessing. I'm seeing some people saying there's no lag whatsoever, and other people saying there is. So what I'm thinking that's happening is Google is trying to optimize my talking for everyone's bandwidth or whatever, even if you have super fast bandwidth for whatever reason. So I would recommend trying to like pause it for a minute and then come back in. Hopefully that will work. Mike said, should I be able to see Brandon? No, not right now. I'll actually try to turn my face on later, but last week when I tried to turn my face on, every time I did it, it like froze for like 10 seconds. And I'm going to try to do that as little as possible today. But just to test it, let's test it real quick. So I'm going to lose you for a second. Let's try this. Hold on. How do I do this? All right. I think that worked. Do you guys see me? All right, so hopefully this has worked. Let me know if you can see me okay again. I know there's like a 10-second like drop where something happens, but seems to be working. All right, they can see me. Good. All right. So now we got all the webinar techie stuff out of the way. Let's jump back into the slides again. For those who don't know me, my name is Brandon. I'm the co-host of the BiggerPockets podcast and the author of the book on rental property investing. And I am a active real estate investor. This is what I do. I love real estate investing. I love this industry. I love buying rental properties. I love fixing them up. I love making them look good, renting them out, landlording, all that stuff. I'm a big fan of it. So let's get into this. And I'm going to flash back over again to my slides because you don't want to see my face anyway today, right? We're not here to look at me. We're here to look at real estate stuff. So let's go over there and let me show you my one more time, just in case. By the way, Curtis asked, is this live? This is live. If you're watching this on March 29th. So pro members actually have access to replays later on. So you might be a pro member watching this in the future. But anyway, all right, you guys ready for this? All right. So I'll say this one last time. If you lose me or if it starts to lag too much, just click your screen. That should pause it, I hope. And then like let it pause for like a minute and then come back in again. That usually kind of lets it catch up with itself, so to speak. I'm not really sure why it does that for some people and some others, but I don't know. Let's make this work. All right, guys. Welcome. First of all, again, I'm super excited about today's webinar. You guys rock for showing up here on time, early. The chat room is limited to 1,000 people. So if you leave, then I might lose you in the chat room. And there will likely be more than 1,000 people here today. It just happens that way. So again, welcome. Let's see. Let me ask you guys a question. A very, very serious question. I want you guys to put on your somber faces. Are you guys ready to get nerdy? Like seriously, today we are going to dive deep into mathematics, but trust me, I'm going to keep it light, keep it fun, keep it easy. Analyzing rental properties is actually not that difficult. It's just there's a process to it. And so we're going to actually look at a real life example together, walk through every bit of numbers, and we're going to decide, is it worth purchasing? And if so, or if not, what price is worth buying it at? So that's what we're talking about today. So are you in the right place? I always like to cover this because some people sign up for webinars not knowing what we're talking about. And maybe you shouldn't be here. Maybe you should be, I don't know, doing something more fun than hanging out with me tonight. All right. So are you in the right place? You are in the right place if, first of all, you are looking to avoid buying terrible deals. Raise your hand if you want to buy a terrible deal. All right. Put your hand down. There's like one guy out there like, I like bad deals. No, we don't want bad deals. So if you want to buy good deals, hang with this. Secondly, if you want to achieve financial freedom through rental properties in the next decade or less, if you're looking, it doesn't take 40 years of rental property investing to achieve success. If you're looking to get out of the rat race eventually, maybe in the next decade, maybe the next 5 years, hope that helps there. You guys will enjoy this a lot. If you guys have limited time in your day, so you need to streamline the deal analysis process. Look, when I first started analyzing deals, I would spend 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour analyzing a single deal. Today, I don't have that kind of time. I got a little girl. She's 9 months old or 10 months old now. And I don't have time for that. So I am very, very big into making it streamlined and as quick as possible. So that's what we're talking about today. Now, specifically, what are we covering? Let me give you a quick outline of today's webinar. I got a free worksheet for you. If you haven't got it yet, I'm going to hand that out in a second. I'll tell you a little bit of who I am and a little bit about BiggerPockets. I'll talk about why analysis matters so much. And then we're going to go into how to analyze deals by hand, like actually by hand. After that, we'll talk about how to analyze deals using the BiggerPockets analysis tools, which are kind of cool. You can analyze a deal in like 5 minutes. Then I'm going to go through something that I wish somebody would have explained to me when I got started. This section, my analysis process, might be the most important thing we talk about all day. It's like I would have saved so much time. I would have bought so much more deals, better deals, and not bought so much crappy ones if I understood this thing that I'm going to tell you guys a little bit later. So hang tight for that. We'll also talk about some other pro tools that you guys can use on your journey. And then we'll end this with some Q&A. We'll end for some Q&A. Now, like I said, there is a worksheet on today's webinar, biggerpockets.com/329 worksheet. Again, that's biggerpockets.com/329 worksheet. If you go there, you can download the worksheet. It helps you be able to take better notes on what I'm talking about today. Because I talk kind of quick and we're going to go over a lot of stuff. And you're only going to remember about 1% of it. So let's make sure that you're remembering the right stuff, right? Science studies show all the time that people who take notes tend to learn the most. And so I want you guys to learn. I mean, you're not here just to be entertained, right? Right? Well, maybe a little bit of entertainment, but we're here to learn together. And so to do that, download this biggerpockets.com/329 worksheet. Now, I do have a couple free gifts just for showing up today. I actually have 3 total gifts for being here today. Call them door prizes, I guess. The first one, you can go ahead and jot this down in your worksheet or on a piece of paper. I wouldn't recommend downloading it right now. It'll just tie up your mental bandwidth and your actual bandwidth. But go to biggerpockets.com/books later. biggerpockets.com/books. And if you go there, you'll download a guide called The Top 20 Real Estate Books Every Investor Should Read. Again, the top 20 real estate books every investor should read. And what it is, it's a guide I put together of just all my favorite real estate books, because I understand that there's a lot of books out there and a lot of really crappy ones. So if you guys don't want to avoid the crappy ones and read the really good ones, this guide is going to help you pick out the best ones. There's even links to like Amazon. You can go buy them. So anyway, I'll give you guys that biggerpockets.com/books, just a free gift just for showing up today. I got 2 more gifts I'm going to give you guys later on in today's webinar. The first one we're talking about, I'm going to give you the entire slide deck from today's webinar, every single slide from today's webinar. I'm going to give you guys at the end of the webinar, and I'm going to give you this book called 7 Years to 7-Figure Wealth. Again, that's 7 years to 7-figure wealth. What it is a roadmap to earning your first million by investing in small multifamily properties. It's a book I wrote a few years ago to try to explain a concept that I call it's called cash flow recycling is what I call it. And it's a really, really powerful technique that you can use mathematically. This goes through year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on how you can get from $0 to $1 million in 7 years. It's kind of crazy, but you guys will love it. Give you that a little bit later. All right, so a little bit about me. My name is Brandon Turner. That's me and my wife there in front of our 24-unit apartment complex. I'm the co-host of the BiggerPockets podcast, and I've been doing that for over 4 years now. Love the BiggerPockets podcast. I'm also an active real estate investor. I have a little over 50 units right now. Most of them out here in all of them out here in Western Washington, but looking to double that this year. I'm hoping to get to 100 by the end of the year. I'm also a guitar player and a drummer, the author of several books right here. And random fact about myself, I was once in a barbershop quartet. That's right. I was once in a barbershop quartet and in high school, and we actually half stripped during a talent show. And I'm not going to go into that story, but it was an interesting high school talent show. So that's a little bit about me, and that is my family. Like I said, I got a 10-month-old baby girl. Her name's Rosie. That was actually us. I took her on a little daddy-daughter date a couple days ago. We went to Starbucks together and ate some food and got some drinks. Well, I got a drink and she ate some food, and it was awesome. Anyway, those are my two dogs, Ruby and Charlie as well. A little bit about BiggerPockets. We are the real estate investing social network, marketplace, and information hub. Now, what does that mean? Well, we've got blogs about real estate. We got forums about real estate, podcasts, books, conferences, meetups, videos, forums, files, networking, webinars. I probably should add that to the list. We got these live webinars like I'm doing right now, all designed for one thing, to help you achieve your goals through real estate investing. So whether or not you want to quit your job next week, next year, 100 years from now, whether you want to just bring in some extra income, whether you want to flip houses or buy rental property or whatever, we want to help you with that. Now, before I get to why analysis matters, let me just say this one more time, because I know a couple of people are still having laggy issues with the tech. If the thing is lagging on you, just click the screen. That should pause it for a second, and then unpause it by re-clicking it a minute later. That should kind of refresh things, I'm hoping. There's also a YouTube link somewhere that you could watch this on, technically on YouTube. I don't know where that link is, and I don't know how to find it, which is kind of weird, but this is a new system. So for now, this is what we got. So again, hopefully this is not going to be too glitchy for everybody. So why does analysis matter so much? Why do I care about it so much? Well, to illustrate a point, let me tell you about the Martin disaster. The Martin disaster. So top picture is before, bottom is after. You'll notice there were 2 doors on top and 1 on the bottom. And oh, by the way, somebody just shared the YouTube link. Let me actually share it with you guys as well. I'm going to put it in here in the chat room. If you're getting really laggy, you can watch this over on YouTube instead. I'm going to put it in the chat room. I just put it there on top, and I'm also going to put it in the sticky area. So you guys should be able to see it there in the chat room. If you need to, if it's too laggy, you can always go there to watch it as well. Just don't get distracted by the cat videos. All right, so I bought this property, paid $42,000 for it. Incredible deal for a duplex in a great area. I spent the next 2 years of my life holding on to this property, fixing it up. I spent a year fixing it, making it into a single family house. It was beautiful. I decided to be a smart guy and flip it. I put in cherry hardwood floors and travertine tile and granite countertops and everything you're supposed to do. And at the end of the day, I lost $10,000 on this property. And worst of all, guys, is that had I kept this property, had I held on to it and kept it as a rental property, today I'd likely be making more like $1,000 a month in cash flow. $1,000 a month in cash flow. But instead, I decided to flip it. Now, why did I choose flipping over rental? Because I didn't do my numbers very well. Furthermore, why did I lose so much money on the flip? Because I didn't do my numbers very well. This is why analysis matters so much, because one of the best things about real estate and one of the worst things about real estate is that you can define your future before you ever invest. Now, this is really important. If you guys are distracted by 10 things right now and you're Snapchatting on your phone and Instagramming and taking selfies and yelling at your kids and making dinner with your left hand and all that stuff, right? Listen up to this one point real quick, because this seriously is life-changing right here. The beauty of real estate above anything else is that you can define your success before you get started, unlike almost every other investment. Here, let me give you an example. Let's say you want to go invest in the stock market. You have no idea if Google is going to be better 5 years from now or worse 5 years from now, right? You have no idea. Yes, we can look at, historical stuff with Google, but we can't, we're basically guessing on a lot of things. The same thing is true about a business. I'm going to go and buy a Subway, right? I'm guessing that I'm going to be successful on it. Now, of course, when we're analyzing deals, we are guessing, we are estimating, but we're estimating based on a lot of numbers that we can fairly accurately get. And the better you are analyzing, the better you'll be able to predict your future. Now, why does this matter so much? Because if you have a goal of what you want, maybe you want 10 grand a month in income. Maybe you want 20 grand a month in income. Maybe you want 5 grand a month in income. Maybe you want to make $100,000 a year flipping houses. You can work backwards from that goal to get what you want. And that is the most powerful thing about real estate investing. Why, like, if your goal is to spend, I'll tell you what my goal is. When I was 21, I got into real estate because I knew someday I would have kids. I loved little kids. I knew someday I'd want them. And I mean, it took me a decade to get there, but I knew I would have kids someday, and I wanted to be a father who was there every day for their kid. I wanted to see my daughter take her first steps, which she took this week. And I wanted to be there to hear her first words. And I knew when I had kids, I wanted to be the best dad. Every field trip, every ballerina, what do they call them? I don't know. Ballerina events, every whatever, high school plays, sports. I want to be there. That's what I wanted. And so I can work backwards from that to achieve what I want. So what is it you guys want in life? I mean, what is that number? What is your freedom number? What's that number that says I don't have to be at a job? I want to encourage you guys with this idea that work backwards from that. That's why analysis matters so much. That's why today's webinar might be the most important webinar you'll ever attend in your entire life. It's kind of cool. So again, what do you want real estate to do for you? What is your goal? What's your why? Go ahead and actually put that in the chat room, will you? Let me know in the chat room. What do you want real estate to do for you? Like, where I told you what mine was. I mean, I wanted to spend time with my family. The second thing I love to do, I travel. I love to travel. I've been to 49 states now. I think Alaska is the only one I've not been to. Hoping to do that this coming summer. In fact, actually on Saturday of this week, here in like 2 days, I'm leaving for an entire month. I'm going to spend a month surfing in Hawaii. Because I have the ability to do that, because I've got systems in place. My rental properties pay most of my bills, if not all of them. I've got kind of this the lifestyle that I wanted to be able to travel. I've earned that through the last 10 years of investing in real estate. Ralph said to pay off my kids' college. I love that. Dave said additional freedom. Legacy for my kids, to travel. Passive income leading to financial freedom. A lot of that financial freedom. I love that stuff. Let's see. Jose said financial freedom. Kevin said 10K a month. David said a 40-foot motorhome and travel. I love that. Kate said escape from my boss. Is that what it said there? Escape from corporate slavery. Steve said I want to quit my job. Chris said travel the world. Again, those are awesome stuff. But I got some bad news. You got to hear some really bad news. All right. So the bad news comes in the form of a quote from Jim Rohn. He says this: life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. You can tweet that if you're a tweeter. Life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. In fact, I love that quote so much, I've seriously considered tattooing it to my arm. Life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. I won't do it though. But basically what the gist of that is, if you want that kind of life, you have to make it happen. Right? There's a lot of people in the world who are just waiting to win the lottery, waiting for that raise, waiting for someone to give them an opportunity. If you want that, you go out and take that. So the bad news is that it's not going to happen for you, unless the good news is you can make that happen. And that's what we're talking about today. Another quote, Michael Jordan said, some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen. Others make it happen. Michael Jordan said that. I love that. Right? Which one are you? Are someone's going to make it happen, or someone's just going to wish it? Understand this. If you want your goals and dreams to come true, you have to learn to analyze deals correctly. You have to learn how to analyze those deals. Otherwise, you're always going to struggle continually the rest of your life. So let's get into this. I know that was kind of a long intro, guys, but there's a reason that I spend a lot of time on that. Is because of this. When we get into the analyzing deals, a lot of you guys, your eyes are going to gloss over. That cat video on the side over there on YouTube is going to look kind of enticing, and your phone's going to start texting you and all these things that are going to distract you and take you away, because when things get tough, a lot of people give up. So I believe it's important to build that foundation on why analysis matters so much, so you guys can turn off your phone and put your family outside or lock your kids in the closet or whatever you got to do to pay attention for the next half hour or so, because this is seriously life-changing stuff. You get excited about this? I know it's weird to get excited about math, but I love this stuff because this is my future. This is how I decide what's going to happen, how I get to travel, how I get to be with my kids, how I get to have that legacy. analyzing deals. So let's get into it. How to analyze deals by hand, because you need to know how to do that. So earlier I said this. I said you need to analyze. I said we are analyzing for cash flow. In fact, the title of today's webinar was how to analyze for maximum cash flow. There are numerous ways to analyze deals. Some people analyze not for cash flow. They don't care about the cash flow. They only want appreciation, which means they want to buy a property today for $100,000 and have it worth $200,000 next year. All right, that's all they do. So I'm personally not a fan of that kind of analysis. I like analyzing deals for the cash flow that gives me money today, tomorrow, and every day. That's what I like to analyze for. In other words, if I needed $5,000 a month in cash flow, like to quit my job, I need to buy enough rental property to give me $5,000 a month in cash flow. If I needed $10,000, I need enough for that, right? That's why we're analyzing for cash flow, that monthly income. Now, cash flow basics is this. Income minus expenses equals cash flow. It's another important phrase. You can tattoo that to your forehead backwards so you see it in the mirror every morning. Okay, don't really do that. That'd be weird. Income minus expenses equals cash flow. This is, again, a very important metric, but here's the problem. There's a lot involved in this. Let me explain what I mean by that. Income, there are multiple sources of income. Things like rental income, laundry income, storage income, late fees, and more. Right? There's a lot of pieces, but majority of your income is going to be from the rental income. That makes sense, right? Meaning your property likely will have rental income. It might not have the other three, but you'll likely have rental income. Expenses, though, are where things get tricky. With expenses, you've got things like taxes, insurance, vacancy, repairs, capital expenditures. There's a big one people forget all the time. That's things like replacing the roof every 20 years, or new plumbing every 50 years, or a new foundation every 100 years. Like, these things add up, and over the course of it, like, yeah, they only happen every couple decades maybe, but if you don't, like, every year there's something big on capital expenditures. You have to put in money, carpet, appliances. If you don't calculate for that, you're going to run into trouble. And I'll explain that later a little bit more. Water, sewer, garbage, gas, electricity, HOA fees, homeowners association fees, snow removal, lawn care, property management. All those things are expenses that add up. And when you don't specifically label each one and go through each one when you're analyzing a deal, people end up buying bad deals they should have never purchased. So how do you find all these expenses out? Well, you just simply go through one at a time. And the first time, it's going to take you a little longer. I'll admit that. The first time when you have to learn how to find what taxes are, it's going to take you a little longer. The first time when you learn how much insurance costs for a house in your area, it's going to take a little longer. But the second time, it's going to be a lot faster. Third time, even quicker. Same with vacancy, repairs, CapEx. You work through just one at a time and you figure them out. Now, we're going to look at a real life example. This is a property that is actually sold now. It went on the market and it sold. But I thought it'd be fun to go through it anyway to kind of see what you guys think. But remember this. I'm going to show you this property. And a lot of you are going to say, that's way too expensive. Or that's way too cheap. But understand this. Math is relative. This property I'm going to show you is on the lower end. And a lot of you live in expensive areas. And you might say, oh, I could never buy a property that cheap. I can't even buy a parking spot for that cheap. And that's okay. Math is relative. The rents on this are pretty low compared to what your area is. And so it doesn't matter if this property is cheap to you or if you live in Detroit and this property looks like a palace. It doesn't matter. Either way, the math makes sense. You just got to do the math. So here's the deal. This is a property in a town where the average purchase price is around $150,000 to $200,000. This property was on the market for $74,900. $74,900. Now, it needs some work. And I wish I had a lot more pictures, but I, for some reason, didn't take them all. But this is the property. It's a 535. It was 535 West End Place in Montesano, Washington. This is a town that I live in. And this is on the same street that I own two other houses. It's a duplex. Well, there's like two houses on one lot. I like this area. I love this town. Very, very great place to invest in real estate. So when this came on the market, I was definitely intrigued. Definitely intrigued. So it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,446 square feet. First of all, I want to ask you guys this question. What do you think, based on what you know so far, is it a deal or no deal? I'm actually, if you're on the Webinar Jam room, I actually even have a poll pop up on your screen that says, yes, it's a great deal. Not sure. And no way, horrible deal. If you're on YouTube, just go ahead and write in the chat area what you think. Is this a good deal, bad deal, whatever? That's funny. Overwhelmingly, 85% of people so far are saying, not sure. I should take that option out. 15% of people said, yeah, it's a great deal. And 2% said, no way, horrible deal. All right, so first of all, you don't know yet. People don't know. I'm going to end this poll. I'm going to reset it. People don't know how much the rent is. Let me go back and tell you this. The rent on this property would be about $895 a month, and the tenant would probably pay their own water, sewer, garbage. Now, based on that information, based on that, knowing it's $895 a month, and we can buy it for $74,000, now, do you think it is a good deal? I'm going to run the same poll again. What do you guys think? And you can go ahead and just guess yes or no, or if you still aren't sure, go ahead and say you're not sure. So again, $895 rent and 70 whatever it was in 74.9 in the mortgage or the loan amount, or I don't know what I'm saying. The purchase price. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. All right. Now we're looking a little different. Now 54% of people say they think it's a great deal. 31% of people say they're not sure, and 15% of people say no way. Okay, so now we're a little bit more people. Now that we're thinking rent is around $900 a month, we're thinking more people are like, yeah, this might be a good deal. But here's what's funny about that, guys, and I want to stress this point. This is what you guys just did. Now listen closely to this. This is important. If you guys are distracted, listen up. This is important. What we just did together is what I would guess 90% of people do when they buy a rental property. They do no more math than what you and I just did together just now. And I think that's crazy. People buy deals based on two numbers, the purchase price and how much it'll rent for, which I think is insane. Here's why. We're going to go through this deal together. All right. First of all, income. With this property, we're looking at monthly income, like I said, about $895 a month. We don't have any, I didn't put any late fees in there because it's a good area. People shouldn't be late. I didn't put any laundry fees because it's not really a multifamily property. There's no like laundry machines that you got to pay. And there's no like storage units probably there. So I just said $895. But expenses, we've got that big old list, remember? So we're going to walk through each part of that big old list. We're going to walk through each part of that and find out. So we got taxes, insurance, vacancy repairs, CapEx, water, sewer, garbage, gas, electricity, HOA fees, which means if you're in an area with a homeowners association, you might pay those. Snow removal, lawn care, property management, and there might be more in your area. Here's what I came up with when I did the list by hand. I checked it out, the taxes with the county assessor, and I found out it was $125 a month. Insurance, I found out was 40, I guessed on 45 a month. Vacancy, I chose 5%. That's typically what I do in my area. Repairs, I chose 5%. Capital expenditures, I chose 18%. Now, that's a high percentage, but it's a low rent. So really what I was interested in was this number right here. Typically, on older houses, I like to choose between $100 and $200 a month in CapEx. Now, why would I choose such a high number? Well, think about it. A new roof is going to cost me probably $8,000, right? $8,000 divided by, 20 years is what? Does anybody have any quick math? Let me just do this math. $8,000 divided by 20 years is $400 a year. Divide that by 12, and we're at $33 a month just for the roof. Now do that for windows, siding, plumbing, electrical, flooring, appliances, landscaping, all the things that need to replace every like 20 or 30 years. And over time, it adds up. And so we've done the math at BiggerPockets and figured out that typically a single family house has between $100 and $200 a month in capital expenditures. Now, if your house is beautiful, 100% fixed up, maybe you can keep this a whole lot lower. But this property is an older property. And so I'm going to keep it right here at $161. Finally, we got property management, 10% of $89 a month. So our total operating expenses are $510. Now, basically, now we have income of $895, we have expenses of $510. But the question is, what expenses did we not include? Or what expense? We missed one very important expense. What is that I forgot? Anybody? You remember what I forgot? The mortgage. Good, the mortgage. Because unless we pay cash for this property, which maybe you pay cash for property, that's fine. But I'm typically going to do a mortgage. So on this case, I said, what if we did a mortgage with 20% down? What if we did a mortgage that had 20% down, and therefore our mortgage was $59,920? Well, there's a lot of mortgage calculators online. BiggerPockets has one. If you go to biggerpockets.com/calc, you can find a mortgage calculator. That one's free to use. Anybody can use it. But there's seriously a billion mortgage calculators online. You just plug in the loan amount, the loan period and the interest rate, and you determine your amount. So in this case, I ran the numbers, and the mortgage on a $59,000 at 5% interest for 30-year mortgage would be $321 per month. $321 per month. All right, so let's go ahead and add that in. We got our income of $895, we got our expenses of $510 plus $321, and we're looking at total expenses of $831 a month and 70 cents. So if I take back to our original formula, $895 minus $831 gives us cash flow of $63 per month. Now, let's re-ask that question. Do we think that's a good deal? Is $63.30 a good amount of cash flow? Well, that's a hard question to answer unless we go one step further, and that is analyzing for our return on investment. Now, for those who are confused, stay with me. Don't get your eyes gloss over. This is important. Let's just say I told you, I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation. I said, hey, Dennis or John or Henry or Jose or Ada, if you gave me $100,000 in cash and I gave you $63 a month, is that a good investment on your part? No, that's terrible, right? But if you gave me $20 and then I gave you $63 a month, is that a good return? Well, of course, because I'm giving you 3 times your investment every single month. That's crazy good, right? So deciding whether or not cash flow is good is based on how much money you put into the deal. Let me say that again to make sure everyone understands this. The actual amount you get back every month is, you can't decide if it's good or bad unless you know how much money you put into the deal. And that is what analyzing for your return on investment. In other words, what kind of return, what kind of interest rate, or what kind of yield did your money give you? You put some money into this, what kind of yield did you get? So cash on cash return is typically the number that I look at. Cash on cash return is typically the number that I look at. What that means is, what kind of return on investment do you get just from the cash flow? Just from that cash flow. So to figure that out, you want to take your annual cash flow, which we figured out was $63 a month times 12. And we're going to divide that by how much money we put into the deal. That's the formula for cash on cash return. Again, if you're getting confused, we'll go over this again. But we're taking our annual cash flow divided by how much money we put into the deal. So how much money, the question is, did we put into this deal? Well, we had our down payment, 20% down. We put in $14,000. We also had closing costs. When you buy a property, you got closing costs, probably $3,500. And then this property, if you guys remember the picture, it looked like it needed some work. I mean, it probably didn't need a ton of work, but it probably needed some. So I went ahead and estimated $8,500 at this point. And then let's just say another $2,500 for miscellaneous things. We got our inspection, and we got, maybe we went over on our repairs or whatever. I like to always add up a little bit more just in case. So at the end of the day, we might have $29,480 into this deal. Okay, so if that's how much money we put into it, we can take our $63.30 times 12, divide that by $29,480. Well, $63.30 times 12 is $750 per year. $759.60 per year. Divide that by $29,480, and we are left with a cash-on-cash return of 2.57%. In other words, if you put in 30 grand roughly, you're making about 2.5% on your money. Is that good? Well, you can go to a bank and get a bank CD for what? Maybe 2% right now, 1.5%, 1%, right? You could go and put your money in the stock market, and the stock market on average has averaged 6 to 8% over the last 100 years. So personally, for me, guys, I wouldn't do a deal where I only got 2.5% interest. So isn't it fascinating that earlier, based on the two numbers that we said, over half of you said you thought it was a good deal. And that's what most of the world is doing. Now, let me tell you something else. Do you know who I buy most of my rental properties from? Anybody have a guess? What type of person do I buy most of my rental properties from? You maybe heard me say it before. Failed landlords. I buy a lot of property from failed landlords, from people who lost their property in a foreclosure, and I go and buy it for cheap. Now, why did they lose their properties? Because they didn't do their math correctly. They are part of the 80 or 90% of people who never did their math. So the question again is, 2.57% cash and cash return a good amount of cash flow? For me, no. However, what if, before I get to that slide, what if, let's just say this property, and let's say I forgot to tell you that this property, once fixed up, was actually worth $100 million. Some absurd number, right? Or let's be more realistic. What if I told you this property was actually worth $200,000 when it was fixed up? Well, now is it a good deal? Probably, right? Because we only have like under $100,000 into the deal. We only have right around 100, and it's worth 200, which means now it's a fantastic deal, right? Because now we're looking at something called our total return. Now, total return includes things like appreciation. It includes things like, what if you fixed the property up first and made it worth a whole lot more? It includes things like the loan getting paid down over time. It's basically like a flip, right? And that's where we get into what's called BRRRR investing, which next week webinar is all about BRRRR investing, when you buy a property and fix it up. So now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting a little more deep, but today's webinar was on cash flow analyzing. But then we can get even deeper and ask a few questions. What about this? How good will this deal look if I hold it for 5 years? That's kind of hard to do by hand, right? We just did this by hand. Everything we just did was by hand. And we spent a good, half hour on it? But by hand doesn't answer a few questions. For example, how good will this look if I hold it for 5 years? Well, what if the market appreciates by 5% per year? Or what if it doesn't appreciate at all? Or how much profit will I make if I hold it for 10 years and then I go and sell it after 10 years? These are questions that are important to understand before you buy any deal, but doing it by hand doesn't always answer. And doing it off a whim, like most people do, definitely doesn't answer. And for that, I'm going to show you guys a different way to analyze deals. We're going to analyze this exact same deal, but we're going to analyze it using something that I call the BiggerPockets, what we call the BiggerPockets property analysis software or calculators. So we've got 4 calculators on BiggerPockets. We've got one that is a rental property calculator, one that is a flipping calculator, one that's a BRRRR calculator. It's for fixer upper rental properties. And one is a wholesaling calculator. These are all kind of cool numbers. Now, by the way, Alex asked the question, and so did Ada, what is a good number for cash on cash return? Now, I can only tell you for myself, speaking for myself, but for me, when I buy a house, a single family house, I want to see at least 12% cash on cash return. Why? Because I want to get much more than the stock market. Because if I'm going to put in all the work of buying a rental property and managing a rental property, I want to make sure I'm getting well above what the stock market can give me. So a long time ago, I came up with the number 12% and said, if I can get 12%, I'm good. I also look for, but that's not the only number I look for. I look for 12% and I look for at least $200 per month in cash flow on a single family house, or $100 per month per unit on a multifamily. Those are just my numbers. You don't have to stick by those. Everyone's got their own interests. I'm just telling you what I like. But let's go ahead and analyze the same deal. Now I'm going to change the slide real quick, and it might do a 10-second delay. Sometimes that happens. But we're going to go and analyze this deal. I'm going to show you how you can do this in under 5 minutes. Then we're going to talk about my deal analysis process. And this is the part, guys, coming up here in a few minutes that I'm telling you is probably the most important thing you can stick around for. So stick around for that, because again, this is super, super important. It's like the one thing I wish somebody would have told me, but we'll get to that in a minute. First, we're going to analyze this deal by hand. So let me go ahead and, how do I do this? Let's go turn. I'm going to give it just a second just to make sure that we're all here before I start running through these numbers. I'll give it about 10 seconds. But this is the BiggerPockets rental property calculator. You can get to it by going up to tools, and you go to house flipping calculator, rental property, BRRRR, or wholesaling. You can also click the word tools, I think, and it'll take you to kind of the homepage of them. And so, okay, that's what we're looking at. You guys can still hear me okay, right? I just want to make sure I didn't lose everybody. I think so. All right. So here we go. The calculator is very simple to run. Basically, there's 3 pages, 1, 2, 3, and then page 4 with results. We're just going to go through, and I already pre-filled it so it'd be even quicker. But in reality, guys, you can fill this out in under 5 minutes. So you call it a report title. What are we going to call it? I call it the West End Place House, 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Okay. Property address, 535 West End, Montesano, Washington. Annual property taxes. Now, a lot of people they get here and they're like, oh, I don't know how to find that out. I'm going to quit and I'm going to go back to watching, Dancing with the Stars until I'm 85 years old and too old to do anything and live on Social Security because I never wanted to do anything difficult in my life, right? That's what so many people do. Don't be that guy. Instead, ask the question, how do I find the annual property taxes? The answer, check this out. If you hover over these question marks, it actually helps you learn how to analyze these deals. So How much of the annual whole year property taxes for the property? If unsure, this info is typically publicly available on your county assessor's website. Well, perfect. So I can just go to my county assessor's website and find this out. And again, the first time it might take you a little bit to figure that out, but the second time you'll be super quick. All right, then I uploaded a photo, added a little description, and that's it for page 1. Everybody feeling comfy on page 1? Give me a thumbs up if you're comfy. A lot of people just got really scared. Like, can Brandon see me? I'm in my underwear. No, I can't see you, but there's power in giving thumbs up, right? All right, page 2 is all about the purchasing information. So like the loan stuff. And so purchase price. I just chose $74,900. That's what they're asking. That's what they're asking. We had our after repair value of, I figured it's probably worth about $120,000 when it's all fixed up. When it's beautiful, rented, it's probably about 120. That might actually be pushing it. Maybe I'll conservatively go down to 110 because I want to be conservative. All right. We got our closing costs. We've got our repair costs. And check this out too. If you click on expand costs, it'll actually let you go step by step through the repair process. Roof, concrete, gutters, garage, siding, landscaping, painting, plumbing, carpentry, all that stuff. But for me, we just guessed 8,500 earlier, right? Now remember also, if you guys need more help with any of this stuff, like how do I find the ARV, the after repair value? Hover over the question mark. There's even links to articles and segments of the site that'll help you figure out some of the stuff. So kind of cool stuff. All right, below that, we got our loan details. So we said 20% down at 5% interest on a 30-year mortgage. If you want to know more about all this little stuff, just hover over them and you can learn how they work. On page 3 is all about the rental info. This is all the rental info. So we got things like the gross monthly rent, any other monthly income. Is there laundry, storage, whatever? You can add those here. You can even, if you're doing a multifamily or a commercial property, you can add in individual units, which is kind of cool. Down below that, we've got things like electricity, water, PMI, garbage, HOAs. Remember all that list of things that we looked at earlier? Here they all are. Just go one by one through it. Guys, back in the day, I used to use spreadsheets to analyze deals. The problem with spreadsheets is that it's very easy to forget certain expenses and items. There's actually 2 problems I have with spreadsheets. 3. Number 1, it's very easy to forget certain numbers, and it's very easy to mess up your formulas. Especially if you're just like finding in a spreadsheet online that you just kind of hack together. That's kind of dangerous. Number 2, when you're trying to get a loan and you take a spreadsheet to a lender, or you're trying to get a partner, or you're trying to get a private lender or whatever, people's eyes gloss over with spreadsheets. And reason number 3, it's very hard to organize all the properties you're going to be analyzing because you got to analyze quite a bit to get a good property to buy. And so anyway, these calculators kind of fix all that in my mind. So we got our taxes, we got our insurance, we got our vacancy, repairs, CapEx, property management. We've got future assumptions as the last section here, meaning what is this going to be like in the future? What do I think the annual income will do? What do I think the property value will do? What do I think the annual expenses are going to do? And then the last section is someday down, who knows when I sell the property, how much am I going to have to pay in expenses to sell the property based on the purchase price or the sale price? What do I have to pay? Well, I got to pay a real estate agent. I got to pay closing costs. So I typically write about 10% right there. That's it, guys. We just went through page 1, 2, and 3. Everybody can do this very, very simply. There's not a single person here, no matter how advanced you are. And check this out. At the end of the day, does this number look familiar to you? Monthly cash flow of $63 a month. Cash and cash return of 2.58. I think by hand, we got 2.57. So there's some rounding somewhere, but I think we're up by 1 penny. But check this out. We got our monthly income, our expenses, our cash flow, our cap rate, our cash on cash return, the total amount of cash needed to do this deal. We've got all the input numbers that we put in. Below that, we've got how did our expenses add up so high? And a kind of a graph that shows what each of them are. We can see what different sources of income were. We can see what the 50% rule says about this deal. A lot of people love the 50% rule, but check this out. In this case, the 50% rule makes it seem like a lot better deal than it really is. Below that, we can see things like how it compares to the 2% rule. We can see what year 1 might look like, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 10, 20, 30. I can also look at a graph to see those numbers. So I can see my equity climbing over time. I can see the property value climbing over time, and I can see the loan getting paid off over time. So down here, I can look at here's a couple numbers that I care a lot about. My total profit if sold, and my annualized total return. These are that number I said earlier that involves this number right here. It takes into account appreciation, the loan getting paid down. It takes into account all those things we care about. So let's say I bought property, fixed it up with the money that we said we're going to spend. I held it for 10 years, and then I sold it. I might average an 11% cash on cash return and have a total profit of $54,000 during that time. Kind of cool, right? So down below that, you can go to more actions right here. You can even download a PDF report of this, which is kind of neat. You can even share the PDF report. And in fact, I'm going to actually share this PDF report with you guys all right now. We're going to try to crash BiggerPockets by everyone going here at once. Just kidding, but hopefully, but kind of not kidding. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share this right here. Let's see. I'm going to put this in the sticky area of the chat room. I'm not over on the YouTube page, so somebody can try to share this on the YouTube chat room if you want to. I put it a few times in the normal chat room, in the Webinar Jam chat room. But check it out. This is what it looks like. This is what our PDF report looks like. It's kind of a cool looking thing. You can actually put your own logo up here if you want to, so it doesn't say BiggerPockets. Down below that, we've got all the numbers that we care about. And understand, guys, this was designed to show all the numbers that you need to make a decision and all the numbers that a lender needs to make a decision. Below that, we've got all of our information. We got the graphs and charts. You can even upload pictures down here. We got a map of the property and all these pictures. Now, the reason that I emphasize this PDF report is because if you're trying to get a loan, if you're trying to get a private money lender, if you're trying to get any of those things, having a nicely designed PDF report is so helpful. It tells people that you're confident, that you've done your math, you've done your homework, and you know what you're doing. So I do one of these every single time. Every time I do a deal, every single deal I do, I always run a PDF report and I print it out. Also, when I want to show my wife, a deal, I don't want to go to her and be like, hey, honey, I found a deal. It's a good one. I'm going to go to her and say, hey, honey, here's the numbers that I printed out. I'm not crazy. You can see everything here. When I go to my agent, I always bring those with, or I'll send them. You can actually send the PDF reports to people. I can copy them to other BiggerPockets members. I can upload my company logo, or I can reanalyze. Now, remember earlier, well, maybe I didn't say this earlier. I'm going to say it now. This is very, very important, guys. Listen close here. One of the important things about real estate that I love is that every single property has a number that makes sense. Your job as an investor is to find that number. In other words, yeah, I would not buy this deal based on these numbers. If I want a 12% cash on cash return, I would not buy it based on these numbers. But guess what? In under a minute, I can go back and reanalyze this report. If you're doing it by hand, you got to spend another 30 minutes on it. But I'm going to do it here. And in under a minute, I'm just going to go ahead and change the numbers a little bit. What if instead of paying 74, what if I paid 54? Now, of course, that's really low, right? But what if? What would happen if I paid 54 for this deal? Well, let's find out. Well, if I paid 54, now I'm looking at a 7% cash on cash return and $149 a month in cash flow. Now, for me, guys, I don't like those numbers yet. I'm still not too keen on that because I want 12%. But now I've got a lot of equity. In fact, if I look down at my total return, if I bought this and held it for 10 years and then sold it, I would be averaging a 15% cash on cash return, total return each year. That's pretty good to me. So now this is looking a lot more enticing. Maybe I'd go back and edit it again. Maybe I'd say, you know what? I'm not going to hire a property manager to do this deal. I live in the same town as this deal. I can handle it myself. So I'm going to take out property management. And now I'm going to go and analyze it again and see what happens then. You can go back and forth as many times as you want to. Now, without property management, I'm at $238 a month in cash flow and 11.24. Now we're pretty darn close to what I want. So, if you're just starting out, I actually recommend managing your own properties. I think as long as you're willing to learn how to do it. So anyway, this is just one tool you can use. BiggerPockets offers on how to analyze deals. I think it's super, super valuable, super, super cool. It is free for up to 5 times. Anybody on BiggerPockets can use it up to 5 times. If you are a pro member, you get unlimited access to it though. So I know some of you guys are pro members already and a lot of you are using it. I know a guy who flips like 100 houses a year and does this for every single solitary flip that they do. It's crazy because it helps them figure out the numbers that make sense. So speaking about that, we'll talk about this a little bit later maybe. But if you are not yet a pro member, guys, and you're like, you know what, I think this would actually help me buy more properties, I will actually give you guys a 20% discount on pro if you guys hang around for another, probably 10, 15 minutes. I'll give you guys in about 10 minutes or so. But first, before I do that, I want to go back to our slides. And I want to talk about that thing that I said I wish I had known when I first gotten started. So let me go back to our slide a minute in case, like whenever I switch from slides to image, it always loses people. So let me just talk for a second before I jump into this. Basically, again, this is the one thing that I wish somebody would have explained to me when I started analyzing when I started getting into real estate. It's the deal analysis process. I call it the deal funnel. And it's based on this process or this quote. I'm going to read you this quote, and then I'm going to explain it in a minute. This is from Hal Elrod from The Miracle Morning. It said this: commit to your process without being emotionally attached to results. Every result you desire, from improving your physique to increasing your sales, is preceded by a process that is required to produce the result. When you define your process and commit to it for an extended period of time, the results take care of themselves. There's no need to ever stress or worry about how a day or week or even a month of selling goes, or in this case, buying. So I'm going to explain this slide in a minute, but I want to walk you through my deal analysis process. And it starts with this question: why aren't you buying more deals this month? What's holding you back? For most people, it's they can't find a good enough deal. Because let's be honest, money might be holding you back, but if it's a good enough deal, you can figure out the money part, right? If I offered you a house for $1,000 and it was worth $1 million, you could figure out $1,000, right? If I offered you a house for $100,000 and it was worth $1 million, you could probably even figure that out. You're smart enough to figure out how to find a partner or whatever. The problem people have is that they can't find good enough deals. So this is where the deal funnel comes into play, and it looks like this. If you guys are distracted right now, pay close attention to what I'm about to say. This is super, super important. If you want to buy more deals, you need to offer on more deals. You need to come up with a number that makes sense and offer on more deals. So if you want to buy more, you have to offer more. If you want to offer on more, you need to analyze more deals. And if you want to analyze more deals, you got to get more leads coming in at some point. There's a lot of ways to get leads coming in. In fact, I've done entire webinars on that topic here on BiggerPockets. If you're a pro member, you can go to the BiggerPockets Pro Replay room, biggerpockets.com/pro replay, and you can watch any of the other 40 webinars that are on there, including several that are just on how to find, how to get leads. But anyway, to go back to the funnel, remember this. The funnel means at the top, you get leads, and out of all those leads that come in, you're going to analyze some of them. And out of all the deals you analyze, you're going to make offers on some of them. And out of all the ones you make offers on, you're going to get some of them accepted. That is called the deal funnel. And that is the thing that kind of revolutionized my business and helped me go from buying one deal a year to buying 12 units last year to buying hopefully 50 this year. This is how my buddy flips 100 houses. I have a couple buddies that flip hundreds of houses a year. This is how professionals do it. And I don't care if you want to buy 100 houses a year or 2 a year. The deal funnel is how you do it. I'm seriously sick and tired of newbies that come to me and they're like, I can't find any properties. And then I always ask them, well, how many offers did you make this week? Oh, I didn't make any offers because I couldn't find any deals. Well, how many deals did you analyze? Oh, I didn't analyze any, right? I'm sick and tired of people saying that they can't find any deals when they're not putting into work needed to do it. So here's what I want to challenge you guys to do. What if you were to analyze 3 deals every day? And if this is too much, divide all these numbers by 3 and just do 1 deal a day if this is too much. But what if you analyze 3 deals every single day? And what if out of those 3 deals every day, you made an offer on just 10% of them? What if you made an offer on 10% of those deals? And what if out of those 10 offers, what if you got 10% of them accepted? You know how that deal funnel works out? You could get a deal every month if those were your numbers. So when I make an offer, I could care less if the seller likes my offer. You remember earlier we analyzed that deal and figured out that at 54, it looked a whole lot more enticing. So how much do you think I would offer on that deal? 54. Are they going to say yes? Well, according to this, my average is about 10%, meaning there's a 90% chance that they're going to tell me no. And I am perfectly okay with that. Because I know that I only need 1 out of 10 to say yes. Now, maybe you're going to be a little different. Maybe you're going to analyze 1 deal a day and you're going to make offers on 50% of them and you're going to get 5% of your deals accepted. It doesn't matter what your numbers are. The point is, do you have a process that you work? Are you analyzing deals every day? Now, if you're doing this by hand, this could take you 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You don't have that kind of time. I don't have that kind of time. So I would recommend analyzing 1 deal a day. 2 deals a day? Could you 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day? Could you set aside 10 minutes every day to analyze deals? And if nothing else, if you did that every day for 100 days, how much better at analyzing deals do you think you'd be? Right? That's what I'm talking about, guys, when I said this. I'm going to read this again. See if this makes more sense to you now. Every result you desire, from improving your physique to increasing your sales is preceded by a process that is required to produce the result. When you define your process and commit to it for an extended period of time, the results take care of themselves. So if you want to lose weight, you could put a picture on the wall of somebody who's, thin, but that doesn't matter. All that matters is the process of eating less calories and working out, right? If you want to buy more real estate, you could put up a picture of a house on your wall. You could tell all your family and friends that you want to. You could read 100 books on real estate investing. None of that matters. What matters is having a process that you follow. And that process for real estate investors is about making offers. Now, again, if I'm not telling you guys to go and spam 1,000 offers out there every day. In fact, I only make probably no more than 5 to 10 offers per month. And in fact, this year I'm making a whole lot less offers because I'm trying to buy a bigger property. So I'm buying hopefully 1 or 2 big things this year. I'm not telling you guys to go out and spam a bunch of offers. What I'm telling you is to look at it like a funnel and define what that process is to you. Define what that process looks like for you. When you define it and commit to it for an extended period of time, the results are just going to take care of themselves. And understand that this is not theory. This is not something that I just made up. This is how thousands of real estate investors, including myself, have found financial freedom. Remember I said you can kind of work back from that number? We all talked about earlier, what is it you want in your life? Some people said, I want to leave a legacy for my children. I want to pay for my kids' college education, which I'm doing right now with real estate. In fact, Rosie, my 10-month-old little girl, already has a fourplex that's going to pay for her entire college education. And she's only not even a year old, right? Real estate has the power to do those things. And this is not theory. I found that fourplex, using this deal funnel, this same process. Now, there are a couple ways to work this process. You can do it the slow method. You can analyze, one deal by hand tomorrow, another one next month, and maybe a year from now you'll do another. And it's hard to do it every day, right? Because, every day there's a new TV show on and, there's a new episode of The Voice coming on and Adam Levine is just so funny and handsome. And, pretty soon you're 65 years old and you're wondering why you never bought a single property. That's what most of the world does. They do the slow, inefficient method. What I want to encourage you guys to do is the efficient method. Meaning analyze deals, use some software, or use by hand if you want to spend the time. If you've got the time, use it that way. But be efficient. Do it every day. Spend a few minutes every day and work that process. It's so important to work that process. So now, before we get to the Q&A here at the end, we're going to do Q&A, and I got those final door prizes. I want to ask you guys 3 big questions here. First of all, will you commit to analyzing deals correctly? Will you start analyzing deals correctly? Because if not, everything we just talked about is a gigantic waste of time. Right? So go ahead and answer. And again, a lot of you guys are like, I don't want to actually type this in. Type it in. There's value. There's so much value in actually writing or saying out loud things that you believe. This is what makes a difference in your life. So I want every single person who's watching this webinar right now to write yes or no. Will you start analyzing deals correctly going forward? I'm seeing a lot of yes. All right. And a lot of exclamation marks. I love exclamation marks. I love people that are excited about this because, again, this is life-changing stuff. I love real estate investing because it changes lives. It's not just about getting rich. It's about spending time with your family and traveling and doing all these cool things that you want to do in life and not working 80 hours a week making minimum wage, right? This is exciting stuff. So it's okay to be a little excited. All right, second question. That was the first one. Second question. Will you commit to a process for analyzing deals regularly, maybe even every day? A couple of weeks ago on the webinar here, I actually proposed an idea, and I want to propose that to you guys too. I called it the 90-day challenge, and it goes like this. Will you commit for the next 90 days, not counting weekends? We'll give you your weekends. The next 90 days, not counting weekends, will you commit to spending at least 15 minutes a day working on your business? Maybe that means analyzing a deal, listening to a podcast, reading a book. Will you do it every single day? Every work day anyway. 5 days a week for the next 90 days. And if you do, what do you think will be different? It's going to be massive, right? And third, will you do what it takes to achieve your financial goals? I know these all sound like kind of obvious, like yes questions, but again, there's power in actually saying yes to this stuff. Because a lot of people say it, like they kind of think it, yeah, I want to do this, but they don't actually commit to it. Are you committed to it? And I'm not talking about commitment in terms of like, yeah, I want to lose weight. And then I'm going to sit in front of the TV watching The Voice with nachos stuffed in my face, right? If I told you guys that I wanted to lose 20 pounds and then you came to my house and I was watching The Voice with nachos stuffed in my face, would you believe that I was committed? Of course not. So what is the telltale sign of commitment? Anybody know? Action, right? It's action. It's when you take action that backs up your commitment is what matters. So I don't want you guys to be voice committed, like just to say it. I want you to believe it and to feel it and say, I am truly, actually 100% committed to doing what it takes, which means if I got to spend 15 minutes a day, if I got to wake up a little bit earlier, if I got to stay up a little bit later, if I need to go to some local BiggerPockets meetups, if I need to listen to a podcast once in a while or go to these webinars every week, I'm going to do what it takes to achieve my goals because it matters to me, because I do not want to be 70 years old, living on Social Security, hoping my kids come and visit once in a while because I don't have the money to go and visit them. Like that stuff, like, is horrible when I think about the future that most Americans are going to face. So will you guys do what it takes to achieve those financial goals? If so, you guys rock. Now, I don't know why you all came here today. There's a lot of reasons that people are here, right? I don't know any of you hardly at all. I mean, some of you have been here a few webinars in a row, but I don't know most of you guys. But here's the deal. Some of you guys are tired of working your full-time job. You're like, how do I leave my job in the next year or two? Some of you need to start preparing for your future retirement. You're like, hey, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I want to retire. 5 years from now, I need to prepare for that now. Or maybe you're just tired of somebody who's been going to webinars and listening to podcasts and reading books, and you're nothing but a wantrepreneur, somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, right? Maybe that's you. I don't know you again, why you're here, but here's what I do know. That our goal at BiggerPockets is to help you reach your financial goals. Not just help you, but to make you reach your financial goals. We don't want to leave anybody behind. If your goal is to get financially free, we want to help you do that through real estate. And as one of our main ways of doing that, we've created some really, really incredible tools to help you get there faster and with less pain. I don't want you guys to make the mistakes that I've made. When I got started, I didn't have cool tools like the calculators or these webinars or anything like that. I just made mistakes and I lost money a lot. And I bought properties I should have never, ever purchased because I was stupid at the time. I don't want you guys to make those same mistakes. And so I created tool, like I kind of led the development of these tools because I know how much it sucks to buy a property, to spend all that time and effort doing it, at the end of the day, lose money on it. Like I can't tell you how embarrassing losing 10 grand on that deal was. When everybody saw how cool it looked, and then I had to tell everyone I lost money on it, like that sucks. So if I can help even one of you guys buy one more deal that makes sense this year, or help you avoid buying one bad deal, then I've done my job. Then I feel like that waste of $10,000 in 2 years of my life on that project wasn't a waste, or the hell house that I own wasn't a waste, or my other properties that I have a couple that just really suck because I made mistakes. I want to help you guys avoid that. Now, jumping into real estate, a lot of people feel like this. They feel like they're jumping off a cliff. They're like, I don't know where to go. I'm in a rut. They're like, my friends are at the top laughing at me. I just feel like I'm free falling. I don't know where to go next. I don't know what to do next. This is what real estate feels like. But I want to tell you guys this. Listen closely. This is a lie. This is a lie that your brain tells you that you're free falling off a cliff. That is not what real estate investing is about. That is not what BiggerPockets is about. You are not jumping off a cliff. This is what real estate investing. It's about walking a path that's been walked by millions and millions of people before you, right? There have been millions of investors in America, in the world, for thousands of years, right? We are just all walking on that path together. BiggerPockets just happens to be the largest real estate path in the world right now. Like we are where people come to learn about real estate. And like I'm on this path. You're on the bit ahead of some of you, but some of you guys are so far ahead of me that I'm following you in your steps. And that's what's great about BiggerPockets. This is what we want you to feel like. Now, is it always easy? No. I will never tell you real estate is easy, but it is not a free fall off a cliff. You are just walking a path. You can learn from other people. Sometimes it's a hike. Sometimes you got to figure things out a little bit, but you can do it. Like I said, we created some tools on BiggerPockets to help you. And a lot of those tools are free, but a lot of them come with our pro membership. And like I said, a lot of you guys are pros already. Some of you are not. If you are not a pro, give me 2 minutes to explain why I think you should become a pro member. Now, again, I'm not telling you have to be a pro to succeed. I'm just telling you, I believe pro membership gives you access to some tools and networking that can help you get there faster and make fewer mistakes. So how can BiggerPockets Pro help you find success? First of all, you can make smarter decisions on things you buy with the analysis tools. I mean, this reason alone, I think, is worth 10 times the cost of pro, if not 100 times the cost. You can screen for great deals that'll help you achieve your goals. You can work backwards to find awesome stuff, and you can avoid the bad deals that are gonna hurt you. Again, if there's nothing else you use with your pro membership, use this. Secondly, as a pro member, you can connect with people who can help you succeed. If you go to biggerpockets.com/meet, You can do some really, really awesome stuff and learn some really, really great stuff from people. Also, you can save money on tools and services you need through biggerpockets.com/perks. You can also, as a pro member, you can post your needs and your haves in the marketplace. So if you need a deal, if you have a deal, post it in the marketplace. You can also show the world you're serious about taking action. You can show the world you're serious about taking action. You get that little pro badge next to your name. It's huge for building credibility across BiggerPockets. If you're looking to raise money from people, get private lenders, find partners, people to work with, having that pro badge just goes a long way in telling people, hey, I'm serious. I'm not selling Mary Kay next week. I'm not watching Dance with the Stars 7 days a week, right? Also, as a pro member, you get a video you can upload to your profile, which is pretty awesome as well, which I think is pretty awesome. So those are kind of some of the things you get with Pro Member. Also, you get to download unlimited files and forms. You get access to the Pro-only forum. You can set up unlimited keyword alerts for things you care about. You can watch all the previous BiggerPockets webinars that I've done. Every webinar I've been able to record, we put up in the Pro Replay Room. How to make $1 million, how to quit your job, how to make $5,000 a month, how to flip houses, how to wholesale houses, how to find deals. All those things you can watch at biggerpockets.com/pro replay. In fact, that one I mentioned a minute ago, that $1 million one, says here, Dennis said, hey, Brandon, I wanted to thank you and BP. After attending your webinar on how to make $1 million, remember that one? Right? After attending your webinar on how to make $1 million, I just said that, I got inspired to take action. So last week, I closed on my first deal. I now have a triplex that is rented and will cash flow very well for me. I can now call myself a real estate investor. I have a plan moving forward that will make my business a success. I bring this up at this point in the webinar for two reasons. Number one, because I wanted to tell you guys about that $1 million webinar. It is really actually a cool webinar. Make sure you guys watch that one if you're a pro member. But more importantly is this, you guys, Dennis came to a webinar just like the one you're sitting at right now, just like this one. And within a month, he sent me this email and said, I just bought my first property, a triplex. Because Dennis did not go back to his normal life. He created a process, he started working that process, and he bought something, right? Remember that quote I said earlier, life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. Life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. Dennis made a change. Dennis changed his life and he went out and bought a property. So I want to encourage you guys, go out there. Don't let this webinar be another opportunity for you to be a entrepreneur. Like, change your life today, tomorrow. Find one thing you can do tonight, one thing you can do tomorrow, get you closer to your goals. And then when you do, send me the same email that Dennis sent me. Well, don't copy it word for word, but send me an email and let me know. Hey, Brandon, remember back in the end of March, I was on your webinar and you were talking about, buying, rental properties and analyzing. Well, I went out and did it. I analyzed a bunch. I made some offers. I got one accepted. I'm closing on it tomorrow. Just wanted to say thanks. That would make my day. I love those emails, guys. Anyway, back to this. So BiggerPockets Pro, it's for people who are committed. It's for people who want to maximize their time, people who need lenders, partners, or special advice. If you want to analyze a lot of deals this year, you'll save so much time. If you plan to invest this year, and if you just want to find great deals, BiggerPockets Pro is for you. Two more quick messages people sent me, because I find these things super, super inspiring. All right, first, just wanted to say thank you for the webinar. It was very informative and gave me several good ideas. There's another example of somebody who just crushed it. They said this, I signed up for Pro and I used the calculator you demonstrated to evaluate and make offers on 2 deals that I found. One was accepted, currently listed on the marketplace. The other, the seller was unyielding in price even after I showed them the numbers. Oh, well, they're lost. So again, just wanted to say hello and thanks. You know what I love about this? I mean, yeah, they signed up for Pro and use the calculators. That's cool. But the best thing about this is not even that they got a deal. They got a deal, which is awesome. The best part is they did not let emotion cause them to buy a bad deal. In fact, they're even flippant about it. Oh, well, they're lost. So again, just want to say hello and thanks. One more kind of inspiring testimonial. David Green, he's a good buddy of mine. I love this guy. He said this, put simply, BiggerPockets made me a millionaire. He said it to me and I asked him, I was like, well, clarify. He said this, basically, in addition to calculators and other benefits, being a pro member has helped me to build a solid reputation on BP that has led to clients, deals, and financing. David Green built his investment business, his entire portfolio, over $1 million in net worth while he was a full-time police officer living in the most expensive city in America. He had every excuse in the world not to make a change in his life, but instead he went out there and just started crushing it and started buying properties. And now like I said, he's got over $1 million in net worth because of BiggerPockets, because of this stuff that I'm talking about tonight. Again, I want to hear this stuff from you guys. So moving on, how much is BiggerPockets Pro? Again, we are not We are not the crazy $100,000 or 50,000 or 20 or 10. These are actual numbers. Some of the gurus charge for their quote unquote training and coaching. We don't believe in that stuff at BiggerPockets. We believe that you have everything you need to succeed right here. We provide the content for you. You just got to take it and use it. So again, we're not any of those things. BiggerPockets Pro is $290 a year, not per month. That's $290 per year for an annual membership. So every year you're a pro member, it's just $290. But like I said, I do have a discount code. So if there's anybody out there who is interested in going pro tonight, and I know there are always quite a few on these webinars, I'm going to give you guys a 20% discount code, but you have to use coupon code 329 on the checkout page when you're checking out. It's coupon code 329 when checking out. And I'm actually going to check that real quick live right now. Let me switch over to do that. And then we're going to do the Q&A. Upgrade. Here we are on this page right here. Down here, oh, I'm not logged in. How am I not logged in? Oh man, hold on. You got to log in. If you're not logged in, you have to create an account. All right. Uh-oh. Don't have BiggerPockets account. Why isn't it making me sign in? That's weird. Well, let me ask my developer why it's doing that. Is it going to be working for anybody else? If you guys go to BiggerPockets.com/pro upgrade, does it let you work? Let's see. I'm messaging my guy right now. Anyway, in the meantime, let me go over here and see if it's working for anybody else in the chat room. Let's see. I don't know. We'll figure that out in a second. In the meantime, how about this? Let me try something. We're going to do Q&A, but before I do, I wanted to show you guys something else. All right, I'm going to try one thing real quick. See if this fixes it. I have a feeling this might fix it. All right, we're going to see if that fixed it. I just tried something. Let's see. Where are we at? Pro upgrade. We're going to try this again. BiggerPockets.com/pro upgrade. Now will it let me work? Okay, so I'm logged in, and I'm going to go to BiggerPockets.com/pro upgrade. Yeah, it won't let me. All right, well, let me. I'm sending a message to him. All right, well, I'll let him work on that. But in the meantime, let's go through some Q&A. Does that sound good? Who knows? Every week we have tech issues. It's just. Ebony said it worked for her, and Herc said it worked for him. So, I don't know. It seems to work for you guys, but it's not working for me. So apparently, for some of you guys, maybe it's working for others. All right, well, give it a try. Hopefully it works. The thing I was going to show you here in person was there's a spot on this page, and apparently it won't let me, but maybe it'll let you guys, where it says enter the code. You have to put in code 329 there, hit apply coupon. That's the important thing, is clicking that apply coupon button, and that will take you forward from there. To BiggerPockets Pro tonight, and you go pro annual and you want to save that 20%, I want to encourage you guys to let me know in the chat area. Let me know that you upgraded. But in addition to that, for a lot of you guys who are thinking about going pro, I got a bunch of other bonuses to throw at you. If you guys go pro tonight, you'll also get the most expensive thing we sell on BiggerPockets. It's the 2012 BiggerPockets conference audio. It's what is it? I think it's over 25 hours. Yeah, over 25 hours of audio education. 25 hours of audio recorded at our 2012 conference of just like from the smartest real estate investors that I know. I mean, really, really amazing stuff. You guys will love this. Again, we sell it for $300, but included for free tonight for anybody who upgrades to Pro Annual. Also tonight, you'll get a digital copy of the book on investing in real estate with no one low money down. If you guys need help with creative finance, this book is going to help you there. You get a digital copy of that. You can read it tonight on your iPad, Kindle, whatever. Also, you get a digital audiobook of the book on investing in real estate with no loan money down. So you can get the audiobook version, listen to it in your car while walking the dog, all that good stuff. Bonus 5 or 6, you also get the digital bonus book of how to find incredible real estate deals. What this is a short book. You can read it in under an hour that just explains all the kind of best ways that I've used to find good deals, how to find those leads. Next, bonus number 6, you get this 7 MP3 or video interviews with some creative investors. Guys like Ben Leibovich, Chad Carson, Jay Scott, Doug Larson, Mike Simmons, Michael Blanc, and Aaron Mazzarello. And they just share how they invest in real estate without using their own money. Again, this thing is super, super fantastic. Over 6 hours of either video or audio. You can do whatever you like better. You'll learn a ton there. And last bonus of the day, for anybody who goes pro annual, we'll get a 2-hour video recording of how to invest in real estate with no one loan money down. That's a $200 value. You guys get that included tonight. It's like sitting with me for 2 hours, just talking about real estate, talking about my deals. And I walk you through each one, how I was able to put together those deals and how I was able to make it work. So some kind of cool stuff in there. And again, this is for BiggerPockets Pro annual. We do have a monthly option. So if you can't go annual, you can go monthly. But I encourage annual for a couple reasons. 1, it's cheaper. 2, you get a lot more bonuses. You get all those bonuses with it. And 3, honestly, it just holds your feet to the fire. It says, hey, I'm committed to this. I'm going to be in this a year from now. So if you are somebody who's thinking about investing in real estate, and you want to be in this game for the long haul, for those reasons, I encourage BiggerPockets Pro annual. Again, I'll leave this page up a little bit later, but this is kind of a summary of everything you get. If you use coupon code 329, you'll get in, and let me know if you guys do in the chat area. By the way, if you're already a pro member, you can get the goods at biggerpockets.com/webinar/bonus. I don't want to leave you guys out. And let's get on with this. Let's go on. Pro versus Plus. None of this counts towards Plus. I never recommend Plus unless you only want to use the marketplace. If you're not about the calculators, only marketplace, Plus is great. Otherwise, I never recommend it. So before we get to Q&A, I got the final gifts just for staying through the entire webinar. You guys are awesome. Like I said, I promised you the final door prizes. This one, biggerpockets.com/books. Biggerpockets.com/books will give you the top 20 real estate books every investor should read. And then these are your final 2 door prizes. Biggerpockets.com/329 slides. 329 slides. BiggerPockets.com/7 years is going to give you 7 years to 7-figure wealth, a roadmap to earning your first $1 million. Those are just free gifts for everybody, just for showing up today, just for being awesome and being here. Those are gifts for everyone. Right. I'm moving on. All right, let's do some Q&A. Remember, guys, I am not a lawyer, doctor, CPA, or your mother. I'm just giving you guys my opinion. But I want to do some Q&A. So any question you guys have, go ahead and ask it. And by the way, just a couple quick shout outs. Kyle said upgraded. Candace joined BiggerPockets Pro. It's awesome. Nelson, boom, just joined Pro. I love that. Clive just upgraded. Mark signed up for Pro. You're awesome. I'll get to a few more shout outs in a second. Like I see Katie upgraded. That's awesome. Brian worked. Jordan, Shelly. That's awesome. All right, anyway, I'll come back to those in a little bit. But Kisan asked a really good question, guys. Actually, before I get to his question, let me say this, because a lot of you guys don't stick around for the Q&A time. If you guys are going to head out, I want to say thank you guys for showing up tonight. Sorry for the technical glitches at the end. I feel like every week there's always some technical glitches. But hopefully you got a lot out of today's webinar. You learned some good stuff about analyzing deals. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about how to analyze deals correctly and not make mistakes. And come back next week. Next week, we're talking about BRRRR investing, how to buy fixer-upper rental properties and make good income that way. It's one of my favorite topics. I love talking about BRRRR investing. So make sure you guys come back for that. And if you guys want to hang around for the next 20 minutes or so, we'll answer, do some Q&A. All righty. So Kisan's question was, do you pay off your mortgage at an accelerated rate, or do you only make the minimum required payments? So here's the deal. On most of my properties, I have only made the minimum payments. Why? Because the thing I cared most about in life was cash flow, which means I wanted the most amount of income every month, and I still do. I care about cash flow an awful lot because I want to make sure that no matter what happens with my, I obviously make money in numerous ways. Like I make money selling books on BiggerPockets, right? If you buy the book on rental property investing, I'll make money on that, right? But let's say that book stops selling. Nobody wants to buy it. Like I want to make sure that no matter what happens in life, I'm okay, which is why I like cash flow. But there are cases in life where I'm going to start paying off properties faster. One example of that, my fourplex that I bought for my daughter, Rosie. So she got that when she was a week old, and we're going to put it on a 15-year mortgage. We're going to start, we actually started the refinance process. Well, I emailed the guy yesterday. We should have that refinanced in a couple months, and then it's going to be on a 15-year mortgage. Now, why would I pay that off so fast? Because I want it paid off by the time she goes to college. And so by the time she goes to school, goes to college, that property is going to be paid off down to nothing, and it'll be worth about $250,000. That'll cover her entire college education. So it just depends on what your goals are in life. If your goal is cash flow, then I probably wouldn't pay it off as fast as possible. If your goal is, net worth and equity, and you just want the security of having paid off properties, great, do it. All right. A couple more shout outs. I'll give Chad to just upgraded to pro. That's awesome. Let's see. Drew just upgraded. Marcin. Alex. Woo woo. All right. Jose, Vicky, Tashawn. Wow, you guys are awesome. There's a lot of people tonight. Joe. That's awesome. Andre asked, do you use the same capital expenditures number no matter what the house specifications, like size, materials, etc., and why? No, typically no. And I'm going to say this, CapEx is one of the hardest numbers to understand. CapEx is really difficult sometimes to understand. And I struggle with it too, because honestly, we don't always know. There's properties that I would assume that I should be setting aside $200 a month, and I never have CapEx repairs because the property just was really, really well taken care of over the years. Other properties of mine, I feel like every year I spend thousands of dollars on CapEx. So here's how I typically look at it. I usually estimate between $100 and $200 a month. And I base that usually on the age of the property and whether or not it's been remodeled or not recently. So if I buy a property that's older, that hasn't really had a big remodel, I'll probably go more towards the $200 a month. But if I buy a property that's totally been remodeled, completely remodeled recently, or it's a new house or a new property, I might go a lot less. I might go down to like 100 or maybe even a little less. So I go, or if it's a massively big house, I might go a little bit higher for CapEx. And if it's a smaller house, I might do a little bit less. So yeah, I definitely go up and down just based on a few things. All right. Let's see. Oh, somebody said a lot of static in my voice. That's weird. I don't know why. Let's see. Dan said went to pro. That's awesome. Norm said, do you do deals with on your own or with a real estate agent? So here's my deal. Every time I buy a property that is listed by a real estate agent, I will do it myself. I will use a real estate agent for that. Every time, let's see. Messaging my developer. Anyway, okay, so if a real estate agent is selling a property, I'm going to use my real estate agent to buy it. Why? Because the selling agent, like the seller, is already paying for my agent's commission. But if I get the lead from like a direct mail marketing campaign, or somebody calls my website, or I find the deal driving for dollars, or one of the other techniques I use to find deals, then I usually will not use an agent because I don't want to pay the agent. Rebecca said, what are your thoughts on vacation rental properties? I like them. I have my first vacation rental right now. I just started a few weeks ago. I've been making really good income off of it. That said, it is a little bit more work than regular rentals, and it's a whole new system I had to learn and have to build and grow. And also a lot of cities are shutting down Airbnb, like Denver and Aurora, Colorado both have done it. New York, San Francisco. A lot of cities don't like Airbnb because it competes with the what's the word? Hotels. All right. Ryan said, hey, I upgraded after last week's webinar. I love the tools and the marketplace. Awesome, Ryan. Well, that's very, very cool. Next question. Let's see. Oh, Jason said, how do we access the bonus stuff that comes with the webinar? So as soon as you upgrade to BiggerPockets Pro, annual anyway, well, either way, you're going to land on a page. Let me actually go over there and show you guys what that page looks like. Let's see. Where are we? Like most people are getting through here. So I have a feeling it's just something on my computer. Maybe the fact that I'm logged on to this webinar, it won't let me in here, but everyone else seems to be working for them. So anyway, if you guys go to Pro Upgrade, either create an account or log in if you don't have one, or log in or create an account if you don't have one, enter in your information, and you're going to land on this page that looks like this. It looks like this right here. It's got the free book, which actually both of the free downloaded, the books are in here. The audio books in here, the webinars in here, the interviews are here, the conference audio is here. But even more, like, also to understand is down here, there's a bunch of videos like this one right here. Make sure you guys watch these videos. Like, it's like a minute long. And there's marketplace, how to use the calculators, how to use the webinar replays, how to search and sort members, how to see who's looking at your profile. It basically walks you through all how to use your pro membership, because I don't want you guys to get a pro membership and then not use it, right? That would be kind of silly. So check it out. Use the training to learn how to do it. All right, I'm going to go back to my. All righty. Are you guys all back? Are we all back? Okay. Every time I switch between, I kind of lose people. Let's see other questions we have here. Steve said, well, Steve said, thanks for the webinar. Well done. Thank you, Steve. That's awesome. Wade said, what are your thoughts on college rentals? I think they're fantastic if you've done the numbers and you worked your numbers right. Brandon said, how do you get reliable numbers for expenses and renovations? So a couple of things. First of all, Jay Scott published a book through BiggerPockets Publishing. Jay Scott's an awesome investor. He's a flipper. Wrote a book called The Book on Estimating Rehab Costs. It's fantastic. You can pick it up on Amazon for like $20. It would be well worth reading. If you're not good at analyzing expenses and like renovation stuff, read that. Otherwise, expenses, talk to property managers, talk to local landlords, talk to local investors, things like that is a good way to figure things out. And just kind of walk through, like, how do you figure out the water bill? Call the water department. How do you figure out insurance? Call the insurance agency. Retta said, where do you save your CapEx, vacancy, and repair money? So I typically have a separate account set up where I set aside that money. Now, I usually have one account for all my properties. We dump most of it in there. All right, let's see. Anastasia said, how do you make second investment after putting your 20% down into a house? Well, understand that putting 20% down on a house is just one way to do it. In fact, of all the deals I've ever purchased in my life, I've only ever put 20% down on a deal a total of 0 times. Like, I'm serious. Like, I've never actually gone and got a 20% down mortgage from a bank to get a loan. Every deal I do is creative. Every single deal that I do is creative. If you want to know more about that, I talk about it all the time in the podcasts. I wrote a book on it. You get that included tonight if you go pro. I don't know. I mean, I've used a lot of different strategies. One of my favorite techniques is called BRRRR investing, BRRRR. And I'm going to be talking about it next week. Or if you want to learn more about BRRRR investing, actually, over on the BiggerPockets YouTube page, we just put out a video like an hour ago that I made about BRRRR investing. That's my favorite strategy if I don't have a lot of money. All right, so a few more shout outs. Kate said, I'm now a pro. That's awesome. Nicole said, going pro as soon as I get to my credit card. Don't want to miss anything. Totally understand. And by the way, guys, this coupon code expires on Friday night at midnight. So you have until Friday night. Today is what, Wednesday, if you're watching this live. You have until Friday night at midnight to use coupon code 329. Or Kim said, I'm 20 years old, a college student with no real job and no source of income. Will I get approved for a loan? Probably not. But if you found a good partner to work with, I bet the partner could get the loan. You bring the hustle, you bring the deal, they bring the money, they bring the loan. Boom. 50% of a great deal is better than 100% of no deal. I say that all the time. Dustin just upgraded to pro. Kyle upgraded. Dan upgraded. Manu upgraded. Justin, Carl, Mike. You guys are awesome. Chuck asked, are your properties in an LLC? Good question. Most of my properties are in LLCs. Now, I'm not giving you tax advice or whatever, or CPA or lawyer or whatever advice. I'm just telling you what I've done. Most of my properties are in LLCs, but here's the tough part with LLCs is a bank will typically not finance an LLC, at least not a residential bank. A commercial lender might, but you're not getting like a 30-year you're not going to get like a 30-year fixed mortgage from a commercial bank. So if you want the best loan, it's got to be a residential loan, which they don't lend residential loans to LLCs. So what I've done, and this is a little bit risky, what I've done is I buy the property in my own name, and then later I hire my attorney to transfer it into an LLC. And so that way the property is in an LLC, but the loan is in my personal name. Now, the risky part is that a bank could freak out about that. Now, they typically don't. It's called the due on sale clause. A bank could freak out. Hopefully they won't. Yeah, that's what I do, and that's what a lot of investors do. But again, the reason I'm okay with that risk is because I have good equity in every property, because I do not buy properties that don't have good equity in them. Meaning I could sell it in a heartbeat, or I could refinance it if I had to. Jason asked, how do I best learn landlording quickly? I was going to turn my camera on, but every time I do that, my face gets all weird. Actually, I'll turn my camera on. Hold on. You guys stay with me 10 seconds. I want to show you something. But I'm going to turn my camera on. I'll be right back. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So there's always like a 10-second delay or whatever. I don't know, but hopefully this is working now. But the question was, Jason asked, how do I best learn landlording quickly? Now, this is a shameless plug, but my wife and I wrote a book called The Book on Managing Rental Properties. It is all about being a landlord and how to do it right. Now, I will tell you this. I will tell you, this is a good book, I think. My wife wrote most of it, and I think she's fantastic, and she's the smartest landlord I've ever known in my entire life, which is why everything my wife says about landlording, I would follow. That said, there are other good real estate books too on landlording. If you don't want to read mine, I'll give you further. Butler wrote one called Landlord and an Autopilot. There's one called The Unofficial Guide to Rental Property Management. No, The Unofficial Guide to Residential Property Management. I think is the name. By a lady last name like Prandis, Prandis. I might be butchering that. Just look for The Unofficial Guide to like managing rental properties or something like that. It's The Unofficial Guide is like the name. Another great book, not on managing, but just on rentals in general. The Unofficial Guide to Rental Property Investing, I think is what it's called. Fantastic book. All right. Brian said just upgraded to a year annual pro membership. That's awesome, Brian. Welcome. Gina said, looking at it, have it go smooth and have my first deal, Gina. But guess what? If it doesn't go smooth, that's okay. Your job is not to get every deal you look at. Your job, and everyone's job here, is to find deals that make sense, like do the numbers, figure out a number that makes sense, make that offer, get rejected. Do it again, get rejected. Do it again, get rejected. Get rejected, get rejected, get a deal. And those deals you get should be incredible deals that'll change the entire future of your life and your kids' life and your grandkids' life forever. And if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to face those rejections, get shot down, it's okay. But go look for only good deals and go buy them. All right. Let's see. Other questions. Travis says, is CapEx $100 to $200 per house or per unit? So it gets a little more complicated with multifamily, but typically speaking with multifamily, I usually use the number of $350 per year per unit. And that's a number that comes from a lot of really smart investors that are like big apartment complex investors. They usually use the number $350 per month or per year per unit. So based on that, let's say you had a 20 unit property times $350 per year, is I would set aside $7,000 per year on that 20 unit property for CapEx. That's about the number I use. Now, sometimes it's higher, some lower, but some people like a lot smarter than me have figured out that that's what makes sense for them. So, and the reason that it's not as high for multifamily is because you have one roof with 4 or 5 units underneath it, right? You usually have one foundation, you have one plumbing system. So there's a lot of economies of scale at play there. All right, what else we got here? Kevin said, I'm a pro subscriber now. That's awesome. Welcome. Brian said, Brandon, I grew up in Aberdeen. That's awesome. We used to own the old building across from the police station. That's fascinating. Well, we should definitely meet up sometime. David said, do you keep your CapEx in an escrow account? Typically, I just keep it I just have a savings account. I just put all my stuff there. Francisco said, I signed up. I'm a pro. That's awesome. My Yoa upgraded. That's awesome. Casey, whoop, whoop. Abdul, how many mortgages can you have at once? That's a tough question, but I'll say this. How many mortgages can you have at once? You can have one FHA loan at a time. You can have unlimited mortgages technically, but if they are Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac mortgages, they limit you to 10. Some banks say 4, but it's really 10. that's like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, which is most things, but like commercial loans or portfolio loans or whatever. And if you don't understand what that means, that's okay. It's a little bit of a complicated topic. Just understand that the simple answer is 10, but then your wife can have 10 or husband can have 10. And then maybe you're, like you can play the game. And then once you get over that, you can just go to commercial loans and get commercial loans or portfolio loans. So don't think of it in terms of limit. Just think of it in terms of you have to figure out new ways to do it every so often. All right. What other questions we have here? Stefano said, how do you factor in all of your expenses if you don't own any units yet? It's true. When you're first getting started, you don't know necessarily what insurance is going to cost or what mortgages are going to cost, or, not mortgage, insurance or repair. So what I would do is I would rely on other investors. And I mean, some things common sense, right? Call your insurance agent and ask them. Call the water department and ask them what a water bill is like. Those things are pretty easy to do. The things that are harder are things like vacancy. And for that, I would talk to a local property manager or local real estate investors, local landlords. And that's why it's important to network with investors. I think it's very important. All right. Let's see. John said, if I do a BRRRR deal, which is where you buy a property, rehab it, rent it out, refinance it, get all your money out, and then repeat the process, what is cash on cash return? At that point, I have nothing into it. If you have all your money out of a deal, or if you don't put any money to begin with into a property, your cash on cash return is what I call just infinite. It's infinite. It's forever high. Reason, you guys know earlier, this is actually a point that I don't really talk about, but I think is important. Remember I said I have two numbers that I look at. I look at cash on cash return of at least 12%, and I look at the monthly cash flow of at least $200 for a single family house. Why do I care about both those numbers? It's because, like, let's say I put no money into, let's say I put a single dollar into a deal and I made $2 a year in cash flow. That means I'm making a 200% cash on cash return on my money. Woo! Except for, why would I buy a rental property that it wouldn't even be worth my time? Now, even though I only put $1 into it, I want to make more than $2, which means cash on cash return is not enough for me. But why don't I just look at the $200 a month in cash flow? Well, what if I put $100,000 into a deal? If I'm only making $200 a month and I had to put $100,000 of my own money into a deal, that's not very much money. Like, I would rather earn a higher return on investment. So both numbers matter to me. There's a third metric too that I like to use. I want to make sure that in any deal that I buy, I have at least 20 to 30% equity. That's the third number I look for, which means if I buy a property if my final number, like at the end of the day, my mortgage is for $100,000, I want to make sure it's worth at least like 130. Like, I like to have that room in case the market drops, or in case, I don't know, because I have to sell it quickly or refinance it. I want to make sure I have at least 20% equity in every property that I buy. And I do that by buying fixer-upper rental properties, which is what we're talking about next week. Robert said, I'm in, but I forgot to put probably the coupon code. If you forget to put the coupon code in tonight, or you meant to sign up for annual and get all the bonuses and you accidentally sign up for monthly, just email support@biggerpockets.com, support@biggerpockets.com. They can take care of all that. Somebody said, are you still there? Okay, good. I'm still here. Okay, good. I'm still here. Jerry said, do you normally hold your BRRRR properties after refinancing? Yeah, definitely. After I refinance it, I want to hold it forever because I have a low rate, like a low fixed rate, not forever. I hold it until it makes sense to sell it. Actually, this is a funny story. You know that Cedar property I told you guys about earlier that I bought for $70? I put $35,000 of work into it and then I refinanced it. I actually sold that a year later or a year and a half later. You know why? Because the market got so good, things were selling like crazy. I sold it for $165,000. It sold in like 2 days. Like, I got an offer in 2 days. And I made, after all the expenses, I made $42,000 on that deal. So the beauty of BRRRR investing, I talk about this next week. I'll talk about it next week. The beauty of BRRRR investing is that you get to kind of control the market. The market doesn't control you. Does that make sense? So, like, I chose to sell because it made sense for me to sell. When you're flipping, you've got to sell right away. When you buy a rental property, you've got to wait for the price. When you just buy a normal rental property, you got to wait for prices to go up before it makes sense to sell. With BRRRR, you get to define when you go. And again, we'll be talking about a lot more of that next week on the webinar. So hang tight for that. All right, guys, I got to get out of here in just a few minutes. But I'll answer a couple more questions, but a couple quick things. Remember the coupon code expires on Friday. You do that before then. Secondly, if I did not get to your question tonight, understand that I still love you. There's a lot of questions, and there were a lot of people on this webinar tonight. In fact, there was over 1,000 people here. So if I did not get to your question, I'm sorry. Ask it in the forums, though. BiggerPockets.com/forums. It's free for anybody to use. You can go in the forums and you can ask questions of people that are way smarter and way more successful than I could ever hope to be. And they're volunteering their time. They're answering questions. So don't think that you have to get me to answer your question. There are people way smarter than me that can help you. And you get lots of opinion, lots of answers from people, which is great perspective to have. I mean, I'm not that smart. So you can get things from people that are way smarter than me. All right. Roger asked a question. I'm going to do 2 more questions. Roger asked, how come you guys don't talk about subject to financing? Good question. So the reason I didn't put it in my book is because I don't do it. I don't like subject to only because it blatantly violates the due on sale clause, which anything, but it like blatantly violates it. Now that's not illegal, but I'd rather not face that risk if I don't have to. I don't need to do seller like the subject to because I'd rather do a lease option, or I'd rather do the BRRRR or something else, hard money, private money, whatever. That's really the gist of it. I mean, subject to is a strategy that a lot of people do use and find success, but I don't like teaching things that I think I lost you guys there a second. I don't like teaching things that I don't do. I like to teach things that I do. I think that's just what makes me a little bit different probably from a lot of rich quick gurus, besides the fact that I tell you, you are not going to get rich quick. Is that like I teach things that I do and I don't that I don't. So, Phil's bonus book. Yeah. So to get that, it's kind of hidden. I apologize. Basically, on that page you land on with all the books, it's under the one when you click free book. So it's kind of packaged together with the book on investing in real estate with no money down. And so when you download that book, you'll also get the other one as well. So sorry, it's kind of hidden in there. Let's do one more question. I get out of here. One more question. Here's a good question that I think is really, really important. Kurt said, what is your best method for estimating rents? So this is an important question because when you're analyzing a deal, that's probably one of the most important numbers you can get is how much does it rent for? There's a couple ways that I do it. First of all, Craigslist is my favorite way to go. I look on Craigslist, I see what other properties have rented for or renting for in the area, and that gives me a pretty good idea. There's also a site called Rent-O-Meter, R-E-N-T-O meter, meter.com. That's a good site. That's a good site as well. Sometimes when I'm just not, I'll call up a local property manager and I'll tell them, hi, I'm looking to buy a property in this area. This is the address. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. This is the amenities. More than you guys tell me, if you guys were managing this property for me, what do you think you could get for rent? And they will spit that number out right away. They'll tell me exactly what they think you can get for rent. I think they're probably a little bit high, and I usually go a little bit lower than what they say because they want to win my business. But so those are like my 3 favorite ways to find out. But over time, you just kind of learn your market. It's actually not that hard. Over time, you'll just figure it out. So, and just for the heck of it, I'm gonna do one more question. I know I said I was gonna do one more, but I like answering questions. Francisco said, any cons to getting your real estate license? And I don't have my license, but the con for me was it's 100 hours of classwork, and I don't like sitting in class. So like, I just haven't taken it. I actually took the class a long time ago, and I just didn't take the test. I mean, like 10 years ago, and that was just stupid. I should get my license. I think it would help. I don't think it's required. I mean, I succeeded without it, and I'm doing just fine. But sometimes I'm like, oh, it sure would be good to have my license. So, the con also, it's expensive. It's a couple $1,000s a year. So as long as you're using it, as long as you're buying property, you're helping other people buy property, you're saving that, you're making that much money back. But if you're not going to use it, don't get it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope you had a great time. If you have trouble upgrading to pro, if you're having the same kind of tech issues that I was having, actually, just go to email. It's probably even better. Go to email support@biggerpockets.com. So go to your Gmail or Hotmail or whatever and go type an email like, hey, I can't figure out blah, 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 to support, SUPPORT, @biggerpockets.com. And there you can I don't know, you can get help because those people are way smarter than me at this kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know the tech stuff. I just know real estate. Is that bad? All right, guys. Again, thank you so much. If I did not give you a shout out, like I saw Casey, you said you came in as a pro member, and there's probably more I missed. I apologize. You guys rock. Thank you for being here today. You guys are awesome. So thank you very much. I will see you hopefully next week on the webinar here talking about Burr investing, my favorite strategy in the world. Until then, until next time, I'll see you guys around. For BiggerPockets.com, my name is Brandon, signing off.